Yeah, so what inspired the creation of MEChA at Holy Cross for me? Look, I was in MEChA club in high school, and it was a great experience for me then. So when my college roommate Ozzy, came up to me and brought up the idea, it was a no-brainer. We saw an opportunity, I think, to create an organization that was something more than just a cultural club on campus. It was an opportunity really to bring the intersection of activism and family in an environment where most of us had never really been before. First generation college students, 3,000 miles away from home. A lot of us were experiencing things for the first time. So we saw MEChA really as something that could bring us closer together, but also as an opportunity to let us create an impact on the Holy Cross community. And really, more importantly, to let the greater Holy Cross community know that we belonged.
MEChA at Holy Cross encountered a lot of challenges at the very beginning in trying to establish it on campus. I remember one of them being the fact that there was already another existing Latino organization on campus, and the certifying MSO committee did not find the need to establish a new MSO for Latinos on campus. Additionally, we were made aware very early on that if MEChA were established on campus as a new organization, that we wouldn't have access to traditional funds that other MSOs received, and that we would strictly have to rely on fundraising. And then lastly, and I think the biggest challenge was trying to get other students who did not identify as Mexican American to find a place within MEChA and within our mission, which I think as a e-board and as a community working alongside professors and other student organizations, we tried our best to do um, because providing an inclusive space for everyone was very important to us.
It's hard to pinpoint exact moments that I think shaped the organization's identity. I can talk about the trip that Ozzy and I took to New Hampshire to go see Obama, and how we were inspired then. Or the time when we staged a protest at the Hobo to bring attention to the missing Ayotzinapa students, or even organizing a protest when then candidate Trump came to Worcester. I think at every point, MEChA was the foundation of a lot of those efforts over the years that I think truly helped inspire and shaped our identity.
MEChA worked really hard to unite and empower the student body at Holy Cross, and one of the many ways we did this was by building community, being vulnerable, and sharing our lived experiences with the greater Holy Cross community. We also invited professors to bring their students to a lot of our different talks and sessions as a way of maximizing the number of students who were getting exposure to a lot of the issues Latinos were facing in the United States and abroad. And then lastly, we definitely utilize all of the resources available to us as an MSO. We often would email out using our different listservs. We would partner with other MSOs to co-sponsor different events. And most importantly, we offer food to bring a lot of students to our event. As we know, food drives a lot of students to make it to different events.
Obviously, a lot has changed since MEChA was founded. And, one of the biggest fears that we had was if MEChA was really going to survive after we left. But, I'm truly proud of all the efforts of all the members since our founding for really carrying on the torch over the years. Never could I have imagined that we would be here 10 years later celebrating the 10th anniversary of MEChA. But, in some ways, I'm also not surprised. I think MEChA and its mission naturally calls out individuals like you all who are driven by purpose and motivated to make a lasting impact on anything that you set your mind to. And for me, if I could just give an example, MEChA was really the foundation that inspired my efforts when I was on campus to lead the charge to create the center that we all now know as the hub. It was a Herculean effort to create the proposal, to present it, to defend it, and once it did pass, to get funding for it. And to be honest, I don't think the hub would exist today if it wasn't for the strong foundation and support that MEChA really had instilled in me. And so I do hope that MEChA will continue to utilize spaces like the hub, to meet, to organize, to build really long-lasting relationships to truly make the Holy Cross community live up to its values.
MEPA, as one of the founding co-chairs, I just want to say how proud I am of you and the organization. I've been keeping up with you guys on social media, and I really like how active you are. As MEPA continues to grow, I hope that we continue to create an inclusive space, which you clearly have already done with the name change, and that we continue to bring and shed light on a lot of the injustices Latinos are facing in the United States today, but also not just the Latino community, but human beings in general. Continue, being courageous, being vulnerable, continue advocating for change and empowering students to rise up, because when we unite, the sky's the limit. Échenle ganas. I'm super proud of you. Y que viva la causa, la lucha sigue.
As a student leader at Holy Cross, I really valued my time with MEChA. It was a safe space, a community, a support system for me, especially as a first-generation Mexican-American student. It meant a lot to me that there was a place where I could be fully myself, celebrate my culture, learn more about the diversity that exists in our community, and just have a presence on campus to talk about the issues that were impacting me personally, but also were impacting Mexican and Mexican Americans across the country. One of the core values that I really wanted to ensure that we upheld in the organization was a sense of respect for a diversity of experiences, of opinions, of backgrounds, and ensuring that everyone who came to our events, our meetings, felt included and felt embraced by our organization. One of the events that had a great impact on me during my time at Holy Cross was the awareness that we spread surrounding femicide and violence against women, especially in Latin American countries and across the United States as well. So as a senior, I helped plan a Women of Color Week where we celebrated women of color in the arts, in different professions, women of color on campus, mentors, mentees, but we also brought awareness to the issue of femicide and gendered violence against Latinas in particular. And it was an opportunity for us to have an open conversation. We were out in the hovel talking about the different statistics, but also how we as Latinos and Latinas and our allies can work together to ensure that gendered violence comes to an end in our generation. My hope for MEChA during that time was that it would grow into an empowered and brave and resilient organization where we had difficult conversations about issues impacting our community members, where folks felt like they could speak their mind and share their experiences freely, but also where we felt motivated and encouraged to take action.
Ready?
Latino gang?
Hi friends, my name is Melissa and I'm part of the class of 2023. Regarding the transition from MEChA to MEPA, Yareli, who was co-chair when I was a first year, actually took initiative to start this process. And it was really just to make an effort to be inclusive of different identities and different social issues, a place where everyone could feel a sense of belonging, and also as an opportunity to welcome different allies and us to be better allies to those experiencing different hardships or who just want to feel part of a community. When MEChA transitioned to MEPA, one value that I did want to make sure that was still being incorporated was the sense of community. Being that COVID made so many people feel isolated and disconnected, I wanted to make sure that a lot of effort was put towards rebuilding that community that MEChA had created. Regarding a new value that I wanted to incorporate into MEPA was the sense of importance of cultural food. When I was at Holy Cross, I felt that a lot of the dishes at Kimball didn't necessarily reflect my culture or looked familiar to me. I know when we used to go to the lobby shop, a lot of the snacks were something that I would have never picked if I was in Los Angeles. And growing up with a Michoacana like 5 minutes away from me, for those of you who know what it is, I really missed having those weekend trips of just getting a mangoneada or getting, like fruta picada with chile and limon. And so I wanted to make sure that we were incorporating foods that were part of our culture and, really made us feel connected and a sense of belonging.
Hi everyone, my name is Quetzali Gomez and I am an alumni of the College of the Holy Cross. I graduated back in 2023 and I was a part of MEPA throughout my whole time on the Hill. And one of the biggest reasons why I joined MEPA was because of the tight-knit community and the shared passion for equity and social justice that, not only the e-board held, but also just our general members and the impact, right, that we could have as a collective. Some of the most memorable moments from my time in MEPA, I think it would have to be the Dia de los Muertos collaboration that we had with, other organizations at the college. And I think it was just a very beautiful way to celebrate, our traditions, our cultures. They might be different, but just having that sense of community and, a home away from home was really special. And it's something that I remember dearly.
Oh my goodness, when I think back to the years we were in MEPA, even though it wasn't that long ago, it's still inspiring to me because when I started off, we're starting kind of towards the bottom, right? Creating this foundation or reestablishing a better foundation, right? For our years to come, just because it wasn't left off the best when I entered the organization as a member or a member as co-publicist or co-chair, but challenges, there are so many, specifically, right? Raising money for funds that we needed the next year. There was one year we didn't have any funds and we had to go to SGA every single time to fight for funding, right? To fight for money to be able to put on not only events for our community at HC, but also put on other kind of projects as well that could help our community, like we did my last year, so my senior year. A lot of the challenges we did have was being able to create a better foundation, a better group for MEPA, of MEPA, for when it came to graduation for me and my other members who were also seniors at the time, to be able to leave something great, something wonderful for those behind us, right? To be able to continue to serve with purpose and lead with pride. But some of the great memories I just do remember, a lot of times would be, one of the best memories was always having our weekly meetings, you know? It was tough because it was time to, right, game plan, strategize, but it was also really good because it was that time you got to yourself with the organization, with your team members, and be able to better collaborate and exchange with one another, share out ideas, better learn about one another, right? It's not just about the organization, but also finding out who we are as people and being able to value one another over that. So many good memories, so many challenges. Another good memory definitely would be setting up our soccer tournament, our yearly soccer tournament. I'm so happy to see that it's still going on. It was something we did set, I think, my junior year. But I'm excited to see the tradition still going on, right? Because MEPA didn't really have traditions for itself when I was still around. Even looking at the jaripeo as well, that we also set it off while I was there. It's exciting to see these traditions, right, start when you're there and just continue to thrive and flourish.
After having my whole freshman year online due to the pandemic, I struggled to connect with different organizations on campus. One organization that had always made me feel welcome was MEPA, especially the upperclassmen on the e-board. My first few years I had undergone imposter syndrome, especially in my STEM classes, but MEPA was always a safe space full of kind and driven people who had a passion for advocacy. With MEPA, I was able to learn and spread awareness about several injustices, from discrimination in the healthcare setting to the genocide in Palestine and beyond. Some of the most memorable moments we had were the events the team held, including the jaripeo and various collaborations we had with other MSOs. One very memorable event was the collaboration with the Student Social Justice Collective, where we rallied outside on the Hovel to speak and spotlight the genocide going on in Palestine. Students and faculty were able to come together during this time and give varying speeches based on their experience. And although the MSOs were able to bring events spotlighting various cultures and social injustices, Holy Cross is a predominantly white institution, which often came with difficulties. There were many times MSOs were targeted individually, and as a whole, the organizations were ridiculed by peers and even other student organizations. However, as frustrating as it was, MSOs retaliated by raising their voices and just by having a presence on campus. During this time, the e-board also began working on an online mini newspaper called La Causa, which was used as a platform for students and faculty to speak up about important topics. I think MEPA has been able to bring important conversations on campus. From the very beginning, when MEPA was known as MEChA, they conducted a variety of events that both promoted community whilst also targeting social injustices, such as the femicides occurring in Latin American countries. And over time, different e-boards had been able to target different issues based on the world around them, such as the e-board my senior year targeting the inhumane treatment towards Palestinian people. And Holy Cross can often be a little bubble on the hill, which can sometimes separate the students from what is going beyond the hill. And I think MEPA and many MSOs have been able to target recent and ongoing topics while also bringing community building events.
For me, my proudest moment as co-chair, I think not even just as co-chair, but just being part of the organization, is being able to meet all the first-year interns that apply and are able to join the organization. I feel MEPA has great resources for first years to find a sense of belonging through shared values at MEPA. And it's also an important way to continue the legacy of MEPA here at Holy Cross and to continue the work that we do here. So my proudest moment is definitely getting to meet all the first years and getting to see all the fresh faces and ideas that come with them. Advice for future MEPA leaders would be to make MEPA your own. Really try to corroborate your own experiences here at Holy Cross to make the club feel more authentic and unique and catered for students by students.
I wanted to be a first-year intern at MEPA because I deeply resonated with our mission to be part of the voices for marginalized groups who might not be able to speak up for themselves, and to be a safe space and part of the progressive change within the community of Worcester. I believe that while I'm here and part of MEPA, I will be able to grow as a leader and be able to see the positive impact that my voice can make. And I'm very excited to see what the future holds for us. To any incoming freshmen who are thinking about joining MEPA, I would highly recommend. I think we're pretty collaborative with other MSOs, so you'll definitely get to know a lot of people around campus. And I think overall we're just a great group of people who are, trying to encourage and uplift each other. So I would say join. We're kind of cool. What can I say? Yeah.
What are you looking forward to tonight?
The food.
Riding that bull!
Riding the electric bull!
Community, the food, the singing and the dancing, the bull riding competition. I've been practicing. The food.
No, I'm at the judge. Oh, put it to the side or what? I don't know what the. I don't know what the.
Oh yeah, do you want to hit it?
MEChA/MEPA will not be where it is today without the help of some of the founding members, as well as some of the faculty who stepped up to support our cause, our mission, and ultimately our MSO. So I want to take the time to thank a couple of us: Edgar, Jazmin, Teresa, Hali, Laura, Jose, Abigail, Dylan, Nate, Victoria, Nayeli, Profesora Franco, Profesora Carrasquillo, Profesor Jorge Santos, Profesor Harin, Profesor Robert Hernandez, Profesora Maria Rodriguez, Profesor Justin Poche, Profesora Cynthia Stone, Profesora Caroline Jazer, Profesora Maria Rodriguez, Profesora Maria Carcelena Estrada, to the entire chaplain's office team, to the MSO Pat Christie, Lasso, and Pride, and all the other ones that I have not named, and all the other individuals who were a part of our creation. Muchas gracias. Thank you so much for all your support.